Ladies and gentlemen, Tamara Herman.
Okay, hi everyone. Thanks, Janice. I also would like to begin by acknowledging that I'm standing today on Tsleil-Waututh, Musqueam, and Squamish unceded territories, and I would like to thank the Coast Salish people for lending us their land to work and organize on. So, oh, sorry, that wasn't loud enough, apparently. So I guess the question that we're often asked about this film is why on earth would we go across Africa on public transit with a large backpack visiting Canadian mines? And the reason why we did it is because just over many years I've been involved in different local collectives and organizations that have been working with communities that are on the front lines of Canadian mines across the world. And one thing that I kept hearing over and over again is that we as Canadians were actually investors in these projects, and that we were close to a source of power in a way that people who were facing these mines in other countries were not. And that if only we could find some way to take collective action, we could somehow leverage that power and use it to change the way things were going. And so I think that there's a massive effort underway right now, headed by people in the South as well as people up here in the North, like Mining Justice Alliance, for instance, to try and use that collective action and leverage it and take our so-called power as investors and align ourselves more with people who are facing these mines. And so we were interested in filmmaking, and we were interested in kind of filling that space along with many other people who are also filling that space. And so we decided just to go and do this film. And it was interesting because having come from a world where people my friends knew about Canadian mines in other parts of the world, as well as in Canada as well. But what we kept hearing over and over again were that a lot of the people who we share this space with and who are on this territories with actually didn't know anything about Canadian mining and knew nothing about the impacts that these mines were having on communities both here and far away. And so we really wanted to create a film that wouldn't necessarily be used by our own kind of small introspective group, but something that could be used in high schools and in universities, and really kind of target youth and try and share what we had learned with people who were maybe outside of our small little bubble, so to speak. And so we're really excited, of course, that it's being shown here at Kwantlen, because we really are trying to, as much as we can, put this into educational institutions. And so I guess another question that we're often asked is, why Africa? Why focus on somewhere like Africa? And the reasons are complex. When we were initially coming up with the idea, people kept saying, well, why don't you just go to Mexico? Because I'd been to Mexico before. Why don't you go to Latin America? And I think it's because we tend to, here in the Americas, have closer ties with Latin America, and there tends to be a lot more news. And even though I've been interested for many years in mining, I knew very little about how communities on the ground in Africa felt about some of the mines that were being run by these massive Canadian companies. And I hope that we touch on some of the reasons why in this film. Some of you may be able to read between the lines as well. But the gist of it is that if you look at the news until very recently, most of what you'll see about Canadian mines in Africa is that people want the mines, people welcome the mines. And we started hearing stories that presented a bit of a different picture. And so just through organizing, we had some links with community organizations on the ground in Africa, and they were able to link us up with people who took us to some of these mine sites and showed us around. And so that's kind of why Africa. So yeah, we did this as total rookies. We remotely knew how to use a camera. We took a few documentary courses and really had a very humbling experience in how one really should learn about documentary filmmaking before going to make a documentary filmmaker. But that's okay, because we managed to rope somebody into this project who knew what she was doing cinematography-wise, and really helped us through. But this really was a bit of a rookie effort. So yeah, thanks again for having me.